Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at IX Web Hosting. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com to get up to 40% off your first year of the best hosting on the planet. Today's episode of Dueling Dialogue is brought to you by Saucy Eva. GMA's marinade is coming soon to a plate near you to gourmetize your meats and proteins. Coming to you from that once-forgotten artery that pulses through the center of the continental United States and into the heart of the Ozarks, Grace Matthews. Looking in from the northern border, our Canadian friend, along with his countrymen feeling the effects of U.S. political issues, Connor Murphy.
Welcome to Dueling Dialogues, episode 59. I'm Connor Murphy, here with Grace Matthews. Hi, Grace. How you doing?
Well, a little sad that my Chiefs lost, but...
Yeah, the hammer wasn't too hot on those predictions, was he?
I mean, actually, I'm not... No, he had a very bad week of predictions, and usually he's very good.
Yeah, I was... I had a good chuckle when I looked at some of the scores yesterday.
Oh my gosh, it was a horrible weekend for his predictions. But I will tell you that it's a very nice experience to go, you know, and you have the stealth flying over the stadium and the national anthem. I didn't see anybody kneel.
Oh, good.
But they had a flag that could covered the whole field.
Wow.
And we were lucky enough to be on the first row. So I don't know if I would have been able to see it. So I don't want to say no one kneeled. All I can say is I didn't see it.
Right.
But I tell you what, I know this sounds psychotic, but when I go to a big game like that and they play the national anthem and they have the military fly overhead and whatever they're going to, it brings tears to my eyes every time.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I am honestly in tears because we are lucky. You know, anybody that lives in the United States or Canada, we are very lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to worry about a lot of things.
For sure.
And, you know, I really care about that, obviously.
We need water return on a tap. We don't have to walk 5 miles, you know, to get it.
Yeah, and there's checks and balances for almost everything. Like you say, like your water. You know, somebody comes around and tests our water.
Yeah. Make
sure it's safe.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about those little things that are big. They're not really little, are they?
No.
But we are very lucky. And when I go to those and I hear people, a whole crowd stand up to the anthem, that's what it means.
Right.
You know, it's very hard for me to make it mean something else.
Well, what do we got for today?
Well, I have been listening to Fire and Fury.
Oh, yes. The Bannon
Inside
book.
the Trump White House. Yeah, the Bannon book written by Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And truthfully, the first 3 chapters, it made me think, okay, this is really Bannon's book. Under normal circumstances, Michael Wolff would be the ghostwriter.
Right.
But because Bannon really wouldn't put his name on it, Michael Wolff is putting his name on it, but it's really Bannon's book. Guess what?
What?
You get to about chapter 4 and everything changes.
Oh, interesting.
And you talk about Michael Wolff turning into Steve Bannon's worst backstabber.
Huh.
That's exactly what happened. Now, I keep hearing everybody talk about this on TV and talk about this crazy stuff that I believe you even said last week, you know, was just, I don't know, a bunch of crap.
So basically you're telling me nobody's read the book past chapter 3 then?
That's exactly what I'm telling you, because then it becomes an interesting book.
Wow. Oh, so it's at the beginning of the book, so it's definitely I've put this here to sell books. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. Just, you know, and another interesting thing, just to back up a little bit, like I said, I got the book on audio because if I just sit around and read books, my bottom gets too wide. So I have to have them on audio so I can keep moving all the time.
Right.
But nevertheless, Michael Wolff reads the, you know, preface and then he doesn't do it. The audio is performed by someone else. I can tell you who, but it really wouldn't matter. It's just somebody that reads.
Just does that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Now, Michael Wolff is a guy that's been on TV a lot over the weekend. And has a good voice. Why would he, in this situation, not narrate his own book?
Good question. Maybe he's going to put out another version.
I don't know, because, they decided at the last minute, the publisher did, because of the cease and desist order last Thursday, they decided to go ahead and put the book out on Friday. So Friday at 9 a.m., they also had the audio ready.
Oh, so maybe Michael Wolff didn't have, enough time to read it, possibly? I don't know.
That could be true.
Maybe he didn't read his own book.
There's something about what he does in here that makes me wonder if he could have read it.
Interesting.
Because there's sort of, I don't know, you've written.
Yeah.
When you go back and read what you've written, especially out loud to other people, you're bearing yourself.
Yeah.
From the inside. It's a very difficult thing to do, especially the first time you do it. First time I did it, especially as an adult, my voice cracked, something fierce. And the moderator said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know. This hasn't happened before."
Right.
It is. It's like you're bearing your soul. Even if it's fiction.
Right.
What I was reading was fiction. And I branded it fiction. So the fact that he didn't read it is interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I find most interesting is Steve Bannon. The picture he paints of Steve Bannon should be the barometer at which we judge the rest of the book. Because everybody says stuff about Trump.
Right.
I mean, I could sit anywhere in New York or DC and write down things that people say about Trump or have a little recorder on me. And believe me, I've been in Manhattan and they say nothing nice about it.
Right.
How much of it is true or not, I really don't know. And most of it is sort of like you were saying last week. Do we really care? I mean,
it has nothing to do with
what
anything.
Is it going to change?
What's the
in
point?
Our lives?
Yeah.
At one point he said that in her early 20s, Ivanka spoke like a Valley girl. And somewhere between her early 20s and her, 30s, when she became, this fashion mogul and she had her own company and she and Jared began dating and, forming this personal relationship, but that also had, fringe real estate benefits with the two families.
Yeah.
There's definitely some other issues. He said that her voice became more like a Disney princess.
Well, she grew up.
Yeah, okay, she grew up, but
is that
who
news?
Cares?
Yeah, is that news?
What does that affect? And really, what's that even say about her?
Nothing.
It's almost like, okay, well, maybe she went to finishing school and they taught her to be a lady and talk without raising her voice. And it's a very society thing.
Yeah, but who really gives a shit?
Exactly. There is a whole lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
In fact, lots of it.
Sounds like, the whole Russian collusion thing. The what?
Yeah.
Get to your point. Like, let's see it. Or get off the pot.
Well, I think most of us, especially that are on the right, conservatives, we viewed Steve Bannon as sort of an Ernest Hemingway kind of guy.
Yeah,
he gets busy, he's working, he might forget to shower.
Yeah.
If he showers, he probably forgets to put on the old deodorant.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that.
That.
We don't like it, but we're okay with that because he's brilliant. He's an eccentric. He's going to take us places we've never been, but we want to go.
Right.
Yet Michael Wolff paints him as something totally different, as a fraud.
Wow.
In my mind, as Michael Wolff describes this man that I thought was brilliant, all I can think about is Jay Gatsby, because Jay Gatsby, the great Gatsby, made thousands, maybe millions of people believe something about him that wasn't true. Now, you got to remember, Jay Gatsby pulled this off in 1922. There wasn't an internet, Now we vet people, we, cyber stalk people, there are no secrets.
Check their wiki page.
Exactly. So, but he painted him as a Jay Gatsby that just failed to learn to manipulate currency and credit, so he wasn't that much fun. So basically, what Michael Wolff says in print is that everything Bannon has done has been a failure.
Wow, interesting.
And that basically he came in to the Republican Party, or actually to the conservative branch that's a little bit anti-establishment anyway,
Right.
and made them believe something that isn't true. According to Michael Wolff, he doesn't even know how to use a computer.
Wow.
Now, how in the hell did he work at, or still does, at Breitbart News?
Yeah. I'm just going to say that.
Breitbart is not even a printed publication. It only exists online.
Online. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. They allow him to submit on toilet paper and felt pen, I guess. I don't know.
I guess he has convinced them that his work is so worthy that you're right, he can write it on toilet paper and they'll make sure it gets online. I keep trying to do that with you and it doesn't work. And I know how to use a computer.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's interesting. That's a side we haven't heard before, that's for sure.
No, but it'd make a fascinating fictional story, or a fascinating kind of Great Gatsby kind of story.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is fascinating to me, and I'm in awe if this is true. I think you've got to question if Michael Wolff's depiction of Steve Bannon is not true, then nothing is true.
Yeah, what do you believe?
You basically got to go, you can't go, oh, well, he said it right about Trump, but not Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
So, of course, Steve Bannon came out last night and said he was sorry about this book. He didn't say he was sorry, he regretted this tell-all book. Well, he probably finally read chapter 4.
Yeah. The rest of the media world hasn't caught up to you yet. I find this really funny that the tables turn on Bannon.
Fascinating. Okay, so we do know that Steve Bannon served in the Navy. He was for 7 years in the late 70s and 80s serving on the destroyer, the USS Paul F. Foster. Okay. He was a lieutenant. So he basically, Michael Wolff says that this was, in effect, a failure. And I'm going to go, I don't really think lieutenant is failure, but he may have a point if Bannon painted a bigger picture of himself later on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So at some point in his career, he begins to serve as basically a writer at the Pentagon. You know, just basically writing reports, explaining things on paper. I guess that was probably in the late 80s. I guess he did it on a typewriter. I don't know what he did it on. I'm still skeptical about him. Really, he can't use a computer. But according to this, everything he does is on paper and whiteboards. He covers any room he's in and those dry erase whiteboards. So for at least a moment, we will pretend that's true. While he was at the Pentagon, he did go to Georgetown and he got a master's degree in business administration. His bachelor's science degree came from Virginia Tech. Okay, later he went on to Harvard. Now, if you ask me, when you go to Harvard, that's not really complete failure.
Yeah. How is he a complete failure? Seriously, if he went to Harvard? I don't know.
I do believe if you keep going to that pool, though, that's another story for another day. You can't expect to get something different because basically you keep getting the same thing if you go to the Ivy Leagues and, Georgetown, you're getting the same thing. Right, left, it's getting old. Why not get somebody that graduated from St. Olaf University or something? Let's just see what they got to say. But I just don't agree with Michael Wolff that that's a failure.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I agree with you, definitely.
Now, after all of this, according to his wiki page, he was deployed in the Persian Gulf to assist with Operation Eagle Claw. Now, that would have been part of the first Iran hostage crisis. It was probably one of the biggest failures we've had. It failed miserably. Up until then, we always said we had won every war. We had, and the only reason they could do that is because Vietnam was not really a war. It was a police state, but they still continued to say that.
Right.
He was a very strong Reaganite. We already know that. After the September 11 attacks, he became more of an admirer of Reagan. I guess sort of believing that under Reagan, this wouldn't have happened. And he saw George Bush as no better than Carter and the failed attempt at the Iranian hostage situation. Okay, so after that, he goes to Goldman Sachs, becomes an investment banker. And according to Michael Wolff, he was no more than a staffer. According to the wiki page, he left with the title of vice president. I do know that vice presidents at banks, sometimes they name a lot of people vice presidents and have a salary raise. But still, I think he was more than a staffer.
I'd say, yeah.
Okay, in 1990, Bannon launched a company called Bannon and Company. It was a boutique investment bank that specialized in loans to media. He did a very huge deal with Westinghouse Electric's Castle Rock Entertainment. He negotiated the sale of Castle Rock to CNN, which at that time was owned by Ted Turner.
Right.
I see nothing that suggests that deal didn't go down. But according to Michael Wolff, he failed miserably.
Wow.
Okay. He also, instead of taking a full advisor's fee, he took part of the money in a financial stake in some television shows. One of those television shows was Seinfeld. Now, according to his wiki page, he gets a residual every time Seinfeld is aired. Okay. That is not failure to me. However, Michael Wolff says that that's untrue, that he does not have that stake in Seinfeld.
Wow. Okay.
He, according to his wiki page, in 1998, he sold Bannon and Company to Societe Generale. For a purchase price. I don't know what the purchase price was, but he sold it.
Right.
He didn't close the company up without a buyer. And believe me, I don't want to be defending Bannon. What I am defending is the truth.
Right.
Okay? It goes on to Earth Sciences. He became part as acting director of Earth Science Research Project, Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona.
Oh,
okay,
that was a failure.
Pollution and climate change.
Yeah.
That was a failure, and I believe it really was a failure.
Yeah, that failed
Although
horribly.
on the wiki page, it does not say that it failed. So I'm just throwing this out there. We don't know exactly. So then he went into the entertainment and media business. He specifically Hollywood film. He produced 18 films from the 1991 Sean Penn drama, The Indian Runner, to Julie Taymor's 1990 film Titus.
Okay.
Now, according to Michael Wolff, every single one of these failed miserably, and that they ended up in court and litigation.
Wow.
He didn't say what happened in litigation. When you're in a lot of different kinds of businesses, you're always going to be in litigation in the United States of America. We've discussed that before. Because here you just sue,
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you lose. It doesn't mean you win. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means that somebody disagrees with you or wants to get a buck.
Yeah. And, lawyers get paid.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in 2006, they got paid first. Bannon persuaded Goldman Sachs, his old employer, that, he might have been, according to Michael Wolff, just a staffer at. Nevertheless, the little staffer convinced them in 2006 in investing in internet gaming entertainment. Now, that did end up in a lawsuit, but that's really not over. That's the gaming where they bet on games.
Oh, right. Right.
Okay. Rupert Murdoch invested a lot of money in that too. Okay. That's not over. I think they will win. Bannon was the chair and CEO of Affinity Media. Okay. It goes on and on. But he goes into media and he works his way into Breitbart News. Okay. Breitbart News is the product of Andrew Breitbart, and he is much beloved. He died early of a heart attack from a strange heart disorder. To be honest, I don't get it. And that's really all I'm going to say about Andrew Breitbart. Okay. I just don't get how he was brilliant, not cuckoo. But maybe there's something I don't understand. I haven't spent tons of time on Andrew Breitbart.
Yeah,
Nevertheless, his media conglomeration there has found an audience. Now, not only has it found an audience, it found a billionaire investor.
Yeah.
Being the Mercer family, particularly Rebecca Mercer. You know, and I know, you can make a little money on an online publication with advertising, but it's going to be a little money, okay? You can make better money when you get sponsors, but when you get an investor that wants the platform, you're making it. Because then you've got lots of travel money, you know, the money's there.
Right.
Okay. They want the platform because they believe in capitalism. Now, this doesn't work for left wing. Left wing operations do not do this. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is about capitalism. So you have the Mercers that invested money with Breitbart, for example, Laura Ingram's LifeZet is TB and Pickens. You know, we could go on and on. But Bannon worked his way into this group by being this populist. He really had no political experience. He really does not understand government. This, according to Michael Wolff, and that's the one thing that I believe may be true. But Michael Wolff says that Steve Bannon gauges how well he does by how much it upsets the other side. Now, we know that that's what Rush Limbaugh does.
Yeah.
That's what Sean Hannity does. Okay? The more the left gets upset, they've done great. They've done a good job. That's really kind of how you make it in this.
Right.
Make it big. Because people love controversy.
Yeah, otherwise life is boring.
So basically, he goes into Bannon's time at the White House. He says things that are so ludicrous at times. First of all, he does claim basically that Bannon was a leaker to anybody that, you know, he's the big leaker. And that may or may not be true. He said that Bannon was everybody's deep throat. Drawing that connection between this and Watergate, which we know the left does like to do. The one thing he says that is really absurd is he said, Bannon and Kushner were joined at the hip. Why would they be joined at the hip? I mean, they are both on the other side of the spectrum.
Huh.
You know, Jared and Ivanka are Democrats, and they're not really centrist or Democrats. They're pretty far left. Maybe not quite progressive, but once in a while they step into that progressive territory, like Obama. Bannon calls himself a white nationalist, according to Michael Wolff. I think most people, like me, do not see populism synonymous with white nationalists. Populism is what brought us Brexit.
Right.
I think most conservatives see populism as leave my religion out of politics, but don't make it to where I can't have it.
Exactly.
Let me have my religion, but stay out of it. Let's don't talk about abortion, you know?
Yeah.
Let's keep capitalism. It's not about racism. It's about being a little right of center. It's a movement that really defies partisan politics.
Yeah.
So if Bannon truly is that right, white nationalist, why would Jared Kushner, a Jew, be hanging out with him?
Yeah,
and not only a Jew, a Democrat.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, it goes on and on. And I mean, this won't be the last time we talk about this.
No.
Because, you know, there is a Bannon mania out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, now I have no idea what to. Not that it matters, because
I don't either.
None of this really matters in the big picture. Who cares?
No, it doesn't.
It's still nothing.
In fact, you know, this is holding a little longer than it should. In most books, you know, when I think it was one of the cabinet members left Bush's office and wrote a book, you know, and for 3 days it was just crazy. I mean, he wrote a book that was not exactly positive. It did not paint a positive picture of the Bush White House. You know, about 3 days, it probably came out Wednesday, Thursday. By Monday, nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares.
Right.
This one's got a little more staying power, and for one thing, it's long. The other thing is the liberal media wants it to stay out there. But I have noticed with our stories and our hashtags, the people are also interested in this because he has become sort of a character. Yeah. Love him or hate him, he is a character the unshaven, probably unshowered. I mean, the guy, does he make money or doesn't he make money? Now there's also word
I'm
out
not
there
sure
that he
anymore.
gets at least 80,000 a year from a charity that he's on the board of. And I think that is controversial. And the Seinfeld thing, I don't know, is that true or not? And he's sold some stuff. Now he's had 3 wives. That can sometimes take guys.
Yeah.
But he bunks out in the Breitbart office / apartment they rent in DC to run Breitbart.
Wow.
So he, hasn't really created home anyplace.
Right.
According to Michael Wolff. I mean, according to Michael Wolff, he is this great pretender, but isn't very good at it.
I'm not sure what to believe anymore.
I'm not either. It's perplexing. It's interesting. It's just downright fascinating.
Yeah, well, I would have to agree with you there.
Yep, but we don't always agree. But life's a journey, and we're all in this together. Godspeed, Connor, and Godspeed to all of our friends out there.
Godspeed, Grace, and thanks for listening, everyone.
Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at IX Web Hosting. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com to get up to 40% off your first year of the best hosting on the planet. Today's episode of Dueling Dialogue is brought to you by Saucy Eva. GMA's marinade is coming soon to a plate near you to gourmetize your meats and proteins.